Hello, my name is Holly Lee, and here is my Siop folder. Um, so here is the cover of the folder. I've actually decided to create my folder digitally. That way I don't lose the information, and also that way I'll have access to it wherever I go by just logging on to my Google account. Um, so it begins with lesson prep, and so lesson prep is basically all of the information needed to create the lesson. So that means language, content, objectives, the concepts, any supplemental material, um, meaningful activities, and then adaptation to content. So making sure that each level of students are able to receive the lesson. So the next slide is, it just goes into detail about how to start an objective or a language objective, making sure that it's student friendly, and then how to present the objectives to the class. The next slide is basically how to present the objectives, ensuring that each verb of the objective is explained, modeled, and frequently reviewed with the students. And this can be done through demonstrations, hands-on activities, pictures and visuals, multimedia, literature. The next slide is building background knowledge. So these are the question stems that help activate prior knowledge as well as new content. Building background knowledge again. So this is the academic vocabulary, and this provides helpful hints in developing the vocabulary with the ESL students. So activate, personalize, and be immersed in words that are rich in language environments that focus on words and draw attention to the learning of words. So using word walls, comparing, contrasting. Alright, so these are the different methods or teaching tips for building backgrounds. So you have the definition map, the four corners, insert method, word swords, partner pretest, and word clouds. Comprehensible input. So this is basically appropriate skills or ways to ensure that the student understands. So the speech, clear explanations, and a variety of techniques through modeling, visuals, and hands-on activities. And there's the different techniques to make concepts clear through gestures, modeling, preview, multimedia and technology, and then repeated exposure. Then again, sentence strips. Let's see. This is just the tips again for ELL students. ESL strategies. So providing opportunities for students to learn the different concepts. So it would be like paraphrasing, think alouds, reinforce, pronunciation, slow speech, repeat, and then providing a variety of questions or tasks to promote higher order thinking skills, and as we all know, scaffolding. Interaction, so giving frequent opportunities for interaction. Could be like discussions between the teacher and student, or student to student, like turn and talk. Grouping configurations, so making sure that they support language and content objectives. Sufficient wait time, so making sure that you're patient or giving the additional time to those students who need it. Ample opportunities, and clarifying when necessary, not interrupting. And through interactions, we have turn and talk, encourage elaboration, balance student-teacher talk, thoughtful questioning, use writing for interaction or interacting, grouping, vary and balance groups, guided instruction, foster collaboration, independent task, engaging activities. Practice and application. So hands-on materials and manipulatives, we know that that's important. So we need to provide this to the students to practice using new content knowledge. Activities for students to apply content and language knowledge in the classroom, and activities that integrate all language skills. So making sure that you have the writing, the reading, listening, and speaking components in the lesson. And the hands give the different tips to include those skills. Then lesson delivery, the most important. So making sure that the objectives are clearly not just displayed but verbalized. Language objectives as well, making sure that they clearly support the lesson delivery. Student engagement, making sure that the students are engaged at least 90% of the time. Pacing, making sure that the lesson is appropriate to the student's ability level. So during the lesson, you display the objective, making sure that it's student friendly. Review the objectives throughout the lesson, and engaging the students 90% of the time. Let's see, if the kids are having a hard time catching up, slow down. So just pacing. And that's it. Let's see. Review and assessment. So think, pair, share, chunk and chew, Roman review, podcasts, TV talk shows. These are all different ways to engage your students. And throughout the engagement piece, you can also kind of informally assess the students to get an idea of if they're understanding the material or if you need to work with certain students more closely. So also review vocabulary, review the key concepts, provide regular feedback to the students, and then assess the students on comprehension and learning of the lesson objective. So there's a chart that's really helpful here. It gives the list of different types of informal assessments and then some creative formal assessments. This is definitely a slide that I'll be referring back to. And then that's it. So that was the last slide, but again, this is just the Siop folder that was digitally created, and I'll have access to whenever I'm on the go by just logging on to my Google account.